Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and my friends, we have been blessed with even more footage of Guilty Gear Strive. We have 3 new matches to go over. This was put out by the Arcsystemworks official YouTube channel. If you want to see the matches uninterrupted, check the video description and you will find the links to them there. And with this here, we got 3 new matches. We got the first ever gameplay debut of Giovanna, as you can see here outside of her trailer. We got even more Nagoriyuki action and a lot more to break down on that. Just hang on a second. And we also got some more Ramlethal footage, and this is the first time in almost 6 months we've had any. So let's get down to the breakdowns, and let's start with Saul versus Nagoriyuki. Now, Saul versus Nagoriyuki. Forgive me if I focus more on Nagoriyuki, because Saul's more of a known quantity. Now, first up here, we see some of Nagoriyuki's teleport action. Once again, he's a mobility-limited character. No running, no air dashing, so this is the main thing he has, although it does raise his blood meter. And we talked more about the blood meter in the previous video we did. Now, I guess the big question is he intangible during it? So Slayer, the other vampire in Guilty Gear, he also had a very similar form of movement, and parts of those dashes, he was just intangible. He wasn't there to be hit. So I guess the question is, hey, is that going to be the same case for Nagoriyuki? I guess we'll find out come the open beta. Going from there, Nagoriyuki gets duffed with air dust, and then we have that plus on block move we found out from the previous video. Although, if we look here, he does a kick into, I'm assuming, like a chain combo follow-up, and there's definitely a gap because Saul uses his Dragon Punch right through it. So if you like the mash, keep that in mind. Now we have this whole sequence here where Nagoriyuki catches Saul in the corner and then just dumps all of his blood meter. Now once again here, it appears certain special moves can just be cancelled into other special moves, like that upward slash into the dash. And what's important here is we finally get our first real look at Berserk mode. So hey, he's going crazy, and the first big thing is look at his health bar go down. Holy crap. So yeah, Berserk state is definitely a penalty at worst, and maybe a desperation move at best. You are definitely going to want to watch out for that. Now, while he is in the state here, the first thing I guess you can see is mask is off, right? And the sword is now just blood red. My understanding from earlier things developers have said in interviews and stuff, it is effectively more damage and a lot more range, but we don't know too much more than that at the moment. But suffice to say, it is absolutely visually clear if he is in Berserk state or not. That's basically when his vampire bloodlust is coming out. Now, it isn't a permanent state here. As you can see here, the blood gauge is going down while you're in the bloodlust state, so you will eventually return to normal. At which point, mask goes right back on, and I guess it's business as usual. We get a screen transition here, and much faster than older builds of the game. And hey, this area is actually just very pretty. Switching over to Saul for a second, one thing I notice here is Fafnir, his big rushing punch here, raises the risk gauge a lot more than I remember it used to do. It's like a full 30%. And risk gauge, that's this pink gauge right here. And just in case you don't know, effectively, it's more damage, long story short. It builds up while you're blocking, and when the enemy can finally catch you, they cash out on the risk and get more damage. Considering Fafnir is such a good move, it lets you basically skip neutral and it's plus on block to boot. I think that's just really, really good. And we finally get a taste of Nagoriyuki's command grab, and I guess taste is a pretty good word for it because he takes a bite out of you. 2 things to note here. One, just, hey, taking a bite out of you, just ripping on you. I think that's pretty cool. And here's the big one. So it's only there for 1 frame of the video, but right here, look at that blood gauge. So it basically has the backward symbol on it, meaning if you successfully get your bite in on your command grab, then the blood gauge will start going down. So now we know kind of what this mechanic truly is, and I suppose that means ideally if you get the command grab, you get to go crazy on your blood-based abilities. Going into the next round, one of the key things I noticed here is, I'm assuming this is just stand kick for Nagoriyuki. Seems to be a big party starter. Manage to catch someone in the air, easy convert, and basically get a full combo from there. Also, it looks like this downwards heavy slash coming up seems to be an OTG. And this has nothing to do with gameplay, but he does a little doot here. Like, haha, I hit you with the samurai sword, now I tap the handle. I've seen that in like movies and stuff. I have no idea what it means really, actually. But he does it, so that's kind of cool. Moving on from that here, we see some really good range. Man, this character's got a lot of range. And the return of the kicks. And once again, kicks get a conversion. I think they might be pretty good. Here we see the plus on block move kind of get reversaled on. So maybe it is indeed plus, but it is certainly not gapless. And honestly, that's great. That means basically you can do it and then make the opponent guess strike or grab. And speaking of grab, dude. So Saul's wild throw got changed to single hit, right? So it used to be it bounced you up a little bit, get a tiny little combo, but now it just dumps all the damage at once, and it's pretty sizable. And part of me wonders if Saul is like not just the actual best grappler in the game. Like, yeah, Potemkin Buster will do more damage, but unlike Saul, you know, Potemkin can't run, he can't air dash, and he doesn't have all the other crazy Saul stuff. So we'll see how that goes, I guess. And while we're here, this is like flavor, but I do love that Nagoriyuki's wake up animation is the rise of the vampire. Because once again, he is a vampire on top of being a samurai. Like, man, just, he's cool, right? Like, what a cool character. Now, going on as the match continues, Saul has some bandit bringer action here, and he hits with the dust. So one thing here now about the dust, I don't know if this was an older build of the game, but now forces a stage transition, which is pretty cool. So now we're back on the other side of the stage again. And here's a worry. Going berserk yet again for Nago. He's about to lose, so he's going to dump everything. And if you whiff the berserk, if the berserk doesn't hit, you're done. Simple as that. So please make sure you go berserk beside the enemy, otherwise you're going to lose, pretty much. But don't worry, you can lose in style, as like many classic Arcsystemworks characters, like Slayer, Rachel Alucard, even Elizabeth from Persona 4 Arena. He's too cool for school. I guess you beat me if you think that, right? So he takes his nice little lost pose and he's just relaxing. Now, in the opening of this final round, the one thing at least I'm getting a vibe for Nagoriyuki, especially against a character like Saul, is he may not have the best defensive options. He's already a slow character, and yeah, he does have the range, but once you get past that, outside of maybe that kick, he doesn't have anything all too quick to defend himself with. Certainly haven't seen anything like, say, an invincible reversal. Not to say it's not there, but not been shown in videos so far. And to close out the match, something speculated on in my previous video, but Heavy Mob Cemetery is definitely a superior whiff punishing super because Nagoriyuki whiffed the button and now he's gonna lose the round for it. So yeah, for Saul, definitely gonna be a very useful super. Moving on to our next match here, Axel versus Ramlethal. So Ramlethal is pretty different in this version of the game. She's not exactly how she used to be. Whereas Axel literally just seems like a better version of what he's been in previous games. But for Ramlethal being different, even something as simple as this move right there, she never had that before. I'm assuming that is standing heavy slash, since it is the regular slash that precedes it. So that's a whole new and frankly better animation, as it'll definitely help her range. As for the flip, at least in Exard, that is an overhead that is plus on block. Here, Axel doing what Axel does best. If you're not familiar with the games, I guess the best analog I can give you is he's sort of like Dalsum in Street Fighter, in that he fights from a very long range with a lot of very good normals and special moves. And if the Axel's good, it can be pretty hard to get in on him. As you can see, Ramlethal has already lost most of her health just trying to get in. Now coming up, Ramlethal is going to be going for her Daro move. This is where she just rushes forward with a strike and attempts to go for a combo, but well, there's no combo to be found. Just going for strings. Now the thing is, in the original game where she's from, there's two versions of the move. The base version and effectively a just frame version. One where you input the timing perfectly and you get a better version of the move where she glows green and launches higher up. So it may still be in the game. The fact that she went for more buttons after the fact means maybe it was a botched input, and if they got it correctly, then it would launch high enough and all that would have comboed. Guess we'll find out in the open beta. There's also that guy right there, which I am assuming is one of her new special moves. She had specials in the previous game that used her swords up close, although not this exact one. This one is new, different animation, kind of using it like a jackhammer or something like that. Probably very integral for combo structure. And from there, well, Axel's gonna make use of that time stop. And yeah, it's really good. This is definitely going to be one of the more defining features of Axel. From what little we've already seen of it, it's going to be incredibly strong. Turn any stray hit into death. Now we see that same attempted sequence from before, but a little more successful. So first here, so stand kick into down dust. That's new. That's something you couldn't really do before. You couldn't go kick into dust. And I guess now you can. And since the down dust puts them up just a little bit out of the air, the Daro, it connects just fine, and now there's a little bit more height to keep the combo going. We get that special again, and into the sword shot. And sword shots, when they hit the corner, they explode. So all in all, it's a fairly impressive little combo, considering the starter is just a regular stand kick. So after all this here, after the sword explodes, all that, we get the stage transition to go for the wall break. And we learn, at the very least, Ramlethal immediately gets both of her swords back if you get a wall break. The swords are very important as they give you normals you don't have if they are out, and give you a lot more range and damage. This little sequence plays out a bit differently than I remember how previous versions of the character shown for Strive, earlier builds of the game, worked. So you get the sword in the corner, and then she just picks it up and it's back immediately. How I remember it working is once you shoot the swords, it's a great projectile, sure, explodes in the corner as you can see, then you basically have a cooldown period where you can no longer use the sword till it comes back, but it looks like just actually picking it up gets it back immediately. And now this follows with another thing that we will get to in a moment. I guess swords are different again, and they're already different from how they were in the previous game. Way different, because they used to be setup tools instead of just, projectiles, right? But before we get to the next sword mystery, hey Axel, why don't you show off the time stop again? Because just off a sweep, we get it, and that's certainly not an optimal combo, I'm sure, but that's going to be a very powerful ability. But anyways, as the match keeps progressing here, and once again, I don't know if this is the absolute highest possible level play, but it's what the developers have given us. And hey, thank you very much for the footage. It's definitely key that Ramlethal is struggling to get in versus Axel. And, as intended, I suppose. Now, here is another sequence with the swords being shot out. And once again, they're in the corner, and they explode in the corner and all that. And they are picked up when Ramlethal walks to them. But at no point do they just return manually like they did in older revisions of Strive. To the point where I wonder if you can recall them without picking them up in the corner. Now, them being, one-shot projectiles, I would hope so. Because I don't think the projectile is anywhere near good enough to warrant losing a lot of the normals and have any other penalty other than maybe the smallest recovery time of them returning. But yeah, it's definitely different than things how they just used to be. And now that they just sit there in the corner and wait for you to pick them up, maybe there's more to it. Maybe you can make them explode more. Because before, in previous games like Exarg, Revelator 2, all that kind of stuff, once again, they were the big set play thing. You set them up and then you can do a bunch of stuff. And now it's different, but I don't know, just once again, speculating, right? I actually don't know until the open beta starts, but just I'm very interested where this is going since Ramlethal has had such a big redesign, basically. But anyways, Axel readies his second time stop for the round, and turns out you can use it as a whiff punish as well in a way. If you just go for it and they were hitting any button, I guess you're gonna lose, and that is the power of the time stop. And our final match here, Kai versus Giovanna. First thing, I guess, counter hits. Yo, they're big, and you'll definitely know if you got counter hit. So say you're watching a stream, right? And the person on the stream says, I definitely blocked that, and you see counter across the screen. Make sure you call him out on the lie. And maybe stop mashing so hard. So first thing to note here real quick, this move right here, this overhead flip kick for Kai, this replaces Greed Sever, one of his most classic moves. So if you didn't play the previous beta, you might not know that. And also Giovanna going flying through the sky there, just so you know. Now Giovanna, so Giovanna is meant to be like kind of a rush down in your face kind of character. She's also meant to be more of a beginner friendly character as well. On that note, on the easy to use front, this guy here, man, that's a very generous anti-air. No idea if that's a normal or a special or whatever, but it definitely gets the job done for sure. As for this little sequence here, so it looks like she's doing stand kick into down dust being a universal sweep, and her down dust is double hitting, so that is interesting, into a special move which also is perhaps double hitting. So maybe double hitting, multi-hitting is a key aspect of the character. And moving onwards from that, we see her dust attack here. That is a universal overhead. Everyone has overheads with dust attacks. Now this move doesn't look like an overhead at all, but just react to the orange flash, I guess. Now we have this crouching punch into this lunging forward knee. This potentially is a command normal instead of just a special. Once again, this character is designed with rushdown in mind, and this is definitely a way to get back in when you're getting pushed out, especially considering, as shown here, Kai is doing faultless defense, so that would push you out more than normal, and then all of a sudden we're back in. That's effectively a shimmy into a whiff punish, and Kai immediately reverses. Now this is all interesting right here. So Kai does a blue Roman cancel, so that's a Roman cancel in neutral. Haven't really done anything, right? And he uses the slide property, because you can do that now in Guilty Gear Strive, to force himself downwards. And then he cranks Giovanna with the overhead. Now, this is a situation where potentially could you force yourself to the ground, and then it's basically like a mix-up, you know, is it going to be the overhead or is it going to be the low? Roman cancels has always been like the signature mechanic of the Guilty Gear series, and now it's the most mechanically complex it's ever been. With lots of new kinds of Roman cancels and the fact that you can slide in certain directions and all that, we've only seen the most basic absolute tip of the iceberg kind of stuff so far, and I'm really looking forward to see how it develops over the course of the game's life. But from that point, we get some more offense in here, a little bit of a block string, if you will, a whiff on Giovanna's part, leading up to this crazy thing. And it looks like she has a special that is effectively forces you to jump, right? It's a command jump or special move jump, whatever you want to call it. So she gets it off this knee, which once again I think is command normal, and then yeah, she jumps. And she has this amazing like Chun-Li style kick, which seemingly, you know, hits both sides at once, so it'll be fantastic for cross-ups. So when they say she's like a heavily rushdown / offensive based character, this is the kind of stuff they're talking about. From there, gets blocked anyways, right? So just some basic pressure, Roman cancels to keep the pressure, then this. So Giovanna gold burst, so that's a burst when you're not being hit, and if a gold burst hits, well, then you get full meter. And the thing is, she has a very special mechanic when you have full meter. I have no idea what the proper term for this move is, but when you have full meter, you get the Shrek install, for lack of a better term, I guess. So yeah, as you can see, she's all green now, right? And you don't have to spend any meter. This is the property of the character. All you have to do is have full meter, and then you are in this mode. We see this really wicked fast cannon drill, also for lack of a better term, and this might be unique to this property, this mode as well. Now, she does do a Roman cancel right afterwards, so this effectively takes her right out of the mode. You can only maintain it while your meter is full. So effectively, it's a pure buff, but if you're looking for the big combo, the Roman cancel for pressure, whatever, then you will give up the mode. And once again here, we're going to have more multi-hitting moves, so I guess in keeping with the fact that she's a beginner character, multi-hitting moves definitely a lot easier to hit confirm from, so you got a lot of time to just visually assess everything that's going on in a match. From which point, Kai doing his stuff here, gets the knockdown into charged stun edge. This is a core concept of the character. Basically, you have to wake up into this big multi-hitting fireball, and then, you know, guess what Kai is going to do to you next. Kai also seemingly has control of the ground, just longer range, longer reach, all that kind of stuff, which makes sense. Giovanna's the rushdown character, you don't want her having massive buttons. She would indeed have to earn her way in. We get another move here from Giovanna, this guy right here, kind of hitting with both hands. And then I'm not sure if it's another command thing or if it's just jump canceling on block. Go for the jump and the weird split leg kick again, although to no avail just yet anyways. Another down dust, going for that sweep. Then we get another sort of cannon drill, although it's nowhere near as impressive as the Shrek install version. Giovanna's trying more and more offense, not really gaining any purchase until this. So once again, that split leg kick does hit both sides. And then she goes into a special and then Roman cancels to continue the juggle and going from there, although very unfortunately, it is a drop combo. Happens to the best of us, I guess. But yeah, since that kick can easily hit both sides, that is definitely something you're going to get crossed up by for sure. So as long as you got some bar to convert into a Roman cancel, this kind of stuff will always be a threat. From which point, after the very unfortunate whiff here, basically he gets a counter hit trying to push to the corner. The throw is a Frankensteiner, always a big wrestling fan myself. But we don't see too much for the rest of the round other than this stray hit, which is going to convert to the round end. And going into the final round of the final of the matches we were given by Arcsystemworks. The first thing is, once again, yo, this is a pretty good anti-air for my money. And unfortunately another dropped combo, or at the very least looks like he could have got a lot more off that conversion. And for the most part of this match, the tale seems to be, you know, Kai's pressure, especially with charge, stun edge, all that kind of stuff. Giovanna seems to struggle, character probably not with a lot of defensive options and just trying to work her way in. Although this, so we get the dust and we get the screen shift here. And once again, we're going flying over Neo, New York. And yes, the story of Guilty Gear Strive apparently is mostly taking place in the United States of America this time. But as we land here, Kai's in a pickle, and then we got the brand new Dragon install for Kai once again. So this is only available when he is lower health, although compared to Saul's Dragon install, it would seem that just lasts forever. It does not seem to have a duration like Saul's does traditionally. Perhaps that's a consequence of it being low health only, so it gives him just a little bit more zazz for a comeback. Although, of course, once again, it does take 50% of your meter, so that means, you know, that's potentially one more Roman cancel you don't get. But in the install, things do multi-hits. A regular stun edge seems to do 2 hits instead of 1, and he hits the dust once again. It's an overhead and takes the match. And that's the breakdowns of all 3 matches. So thank you very much for watching, my friends. We got the open beta coming in the 18th of February, one day earlier if you pre-order the digital version on PSN. And honestly, can't wait. I am super excited to try Nagoriyuki. I want to try everyone, honestly. Make sure to check out the streams on my Twitch channel, as I'll be streaming it every single day the beta's live. And if there's more footage, well then, hey, we'll break it down as it comes. Otherwise, I'm rambling. So that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Guilty Gear.